The essential question for this video is, how do I change a circle equation from general to standard form by completing the square? So we just went through in the previous video, or I'm not sure if it's a previous one or not, but we went through a review of how to use complete the square to change a standard form quadratic equation for a parabola to vertex form. Now we're going to see how you use those same skills to change a circle equation from general form, which tells us nothing about the circle, to standard form, which tells us everything about the circle. It gives us the center and the radius, so it tells us everything we need to know about the circle. Let's watch and see how to complete the square for a circle equation. Here's your first equation. X squared plus y squared minus 8x plus 2y plus 8 equals 0. Step number 1, let's put the terms in proper order. You always put the x terms first. So it's going to be x squared, our squared term. Then we're going to put our non-squared term. Then we'll put our y values. Let's put those in a different color so you see that. So now we're going to put our y values, y squared plus 2y. And then we have our constant is going to show up always at the end. The constant is going to show up at the end. Plus 8 equals 0. So now we've got our terms in proper order. Next step, move the constant to the other side, or to the right side. So now let's go ahead and rewrite our equation. X squared minus 8x plus y squared plus 2y is equal to, remember, when we move the 8 to the other side of the equal sign, the sign will flip and it changes to negative 8. Alright, now we're going to complete the square, but not only for x, now we're going to complete the square for the y values as well. That means we need two b terms. We need the b term for the x's, and that's going to be negative 8. We need the b term for the y's, and that's going to be positive 2. Alright, let's complete the square for both of them. We're going to find b over 2 squared for the x values. Oops, I want that to be red. Let's fix that. It's going to be b over 2 squared. Our b value is negative 8, so negative 8 over 2 squared. Negative 8 over 2 is negative 4 squared, and that's positive 16. There is our x value number for completing the square. Let's do our y value. So the b value for the y terms is 2. So that's 2 over 2 squared, which is equal to 1 squared, which is equal to 1. So now we found the number to complete the square for the x terms and the y terms. Let's rewrite our equation now. So now we can go ahead and write this out. We've got x squared minus 8x plus some number plus y squared plus 2y plus some number is equal to negative 8. And then we're going to have to add these two numbers on the other side as well. We're just doing the complete the square twice. So the number to complete the square for the x terms is 16. The number to complete the square for the y terms is 1. Actually, let's make those the same colors as we just did above. So the 16, let's write it in red so you see how it goes along with the 16 there. And the 1 is in blue. So pretty simple. It's the same as a parabola. You just complete the square twice. And I'm going to show you at this stage is, I want you to see that we can basically look at these three terms in the front. Those are going to be our x quadratic. Here's our y quadratic. Because the next step is going to ask you to factor the left side and simplify the right side. We're going to factor this trinomial, and simplify this side. And this should actually say simplify the right side. There's a typo right there. That should be the word right, the right side. And while we're fixing that, let's fix it on this side as well. This should say the right side. If I fixed it in your flipbook already, then don't worry about it. All right, remember when we factor, we're going to have to find for the x side b over 2. Well, our b value hasn't changed. It's still negative 8. b is negative 8. That's going to be negative 8 over 2, which is negative 4. And then let's find the b value for our y terms. I'm sorry, b over 2 for our y terms. So b over 2, our b value was positive 2. 2 over 2 is 1. So there's the numbers we'll use to actually factor. So let's factor. On this one, we've got x plus or minus some number squared plus y plus or minus some number squared equals negative 8 plus 16 plus 1. Negative 8 plus 16 is positive 8 plus 1 is 9. So that takes care of the simplifying the right side. This number right here comes from b over 2. There's negative 4. Here is b over 2 for the y terms. That's positive 1. And you can take a look, class. We are now in standard form. X minus h squared plus y minus k squared equals r squared. We're done. And if we want to, just for fun, just to remind ourselves, based on this form, now we know the center of the circle is at h comma k, and that's going to be at, the h value here is 4, the y value here, I'm sorry, the k value is negative 1, so 4 comma negative 1. And then to find the radius, we know that r squared is equal to 9. Remember, this is not r, this is r squared. If r squared equals 9, then we're going to square root both sides, and that means r, so r is equal to the square root of 9, which is 3, and we don't know the unit of measure, so we'll write 3 units. So we're able to find now the center of the circle and the radius of the circle. Now you should pause the video. In a moment I'm going to show you your next equation, which is right here. Y squared plus x squared plus 6y minus 2x minus 12 equals 0. Try to complete the square for this equation and get from general form circle to standard form circle. Okay, hopefully you've given that a try. I'm going to go down to the bottom and actually write the final answer for you. I'm not going to show you all the steps. The final standard form for this circle should be x minus 1 squared plus y plus 3 squared equals 22. So if you ended up getting that answer, good job. You have learned how to complete the square for a circle. If you didn't get to that, go back to the top again. Let's go over this quickly. Let's put the terms in proper order. I'll go ahead and do that. I'll do that step with you. So we're going to put the x terms first. X squared. We've got a minus 2x. Then our y terms are y squared, and we've got a positive 6y, and then we've got our constant of negative 12 equals 0. Next step, you should move the negative 12 to the other side. That's going to be positive 12. So this step should be x squared minus 2x plus y squared plus 6y equals 12. When you complete the square for this equation, you're going to end up with b equals negative 2 for the x part. So b over 2 squared will be negative 2 over 2 squared, which will be positive 1. For the y side, you've got a b value of 6. That's going to be 6 over 2 squared, which is 3 squared, which is 9. So the value that you're going to use to complete the square for the x terms is 1, and for the y terms is 9. Remember, when you finish this step, the right side of the equation is going to be 12 plus 1 plus 9, because you're going to add 1 to the x terms. and you're going to add 9 to the y terms. And then the last step, factor the left side, simplify the right side. You've got, this is going to come from 12 plus 1 plus 9 is 22. And you're going to end up finding that b over 2, which is the number you need to factor the x terms, b over 2 is going to be negative 2 over 2, which is negative 1. That's where this negative 1 comes from. And then for the y terms, your b value was 6. 6 divided by 2 is positive 3. That's where this came from. And that should be how you got your answer. Hopefully you figured out any mistakes you made and corrected them. Last thing let's do is let's go ahead and identify the center, which is going to be at HK. Our H value here is 1. Our K value is negative 3. I flipped the sign on both of those. And then the radius for this one, we know that r squared equals 22. So r is equal to the square root of 22. Let's put that in our calculator. Square root of, where's my square root? I've lost, oh here it is. Square root of 22 is equal to 4.69. We can round that to approximately 4.7 units. So now we're able to find the radius and the center of the circle based on changing this to standard form. Hope you've been successful with that. Go back and listen to the audio again and make sure you get all those steps written down.